Welcome to Michigan Replay. Bo, a difficult game to talk about yesterday, a 19-19 tie, but some people looking on that as a loss for the University of Michigan. How do you view it?
Well, I think as a team we probably look at it the same way. You know, our objective in all of these games is to win. I suppose if you were just a spectator, it was a great game to watch. But unfortunately, we didn't do some of the things that we thought could have won the game for us, and consequently, we had to settle for a tie.
Is there an explanation to the fact that Michigan rolls up a great number of yards running, 300 and some Saturday, and cannot score from in close?
Well, traditionally, we've been the type of team that's, once we get in four-down territory inside the 40-yard line, we have usually scored on our opponents. But in the last two ball games, we've had first downs on the 40-yard line in 18 times and have scored only 2 touchdowns. And yet at the same time, we're getting nearly 450 yards of total offense per game. Now, there's a weakness there that we've got to correct, or we're not going to have a successful season like we'd like to have.
One of the problems would have to be facing a quarterback the caliber of Cordova from Stanford.
Well, I think he's a great at passing quarterback that we've played since I've been at Michigan. We felt that way, that they would get their yardage passing, and of course he passed for 285 yards. But his passing for 285 yards would be like our running for 285 yards. They're predominantly a passing team, and unfortunately, I thought we should have intercepted more balls than we did. And although we did get our hands on 8 footballs, we only intercepted 2 of them. So that hurt in some respect.
One of them you knocked up in the air and they caught for a touchdown.
Yeah, that was a rather unusual play where the center got the ball for a touchdown. But the fact remains that they did a great job of throwing the ball and put on a tremendous passing display in Michigan Stadium. I think we probably should have done a better job pass defense-wise, but I don't think we were really bad. I think we could have broken on the ball a little quicker and gotten to a few more passes, but he threw some fantastic balls.
Starting with the one that scored the very first touchdown of the game that we have on film, right in the corner, and I didn't think there was enough room.
Well, this was what we call a Z-cut. You can see that ball is just right on the flag for a touchdown. It was a great pass, and we may not have defended it quite as well as we should have, but nevertheless, it was right on the money. Now here is a reverse play with Jimmy Smith carrying the ball. If our lead blocker, Keith Johnson, could have seen what was happening here and turned back, we'd have gone all the way. It was a 54-yard gain for Smith. But unfortunately, on this drive, we fumbled the football here where we would have had a 3rd down and 2 on the 5-yard line. We turned the ball over to Stanford.
Last play before the half.
Well, you say it can't happen, but it does. You get a one-on-one situation, and Leach threw the ball magnificently here and led him properly, and Smith ran right by their halfback for a touchdown.
You came out in the second half and moved the ball again pretty well. Leach even running for a good game.
Well, this started out to be a pass play here to the right on a rollout, and he saw the receiver was covered and took off running, and I think you're going to find as the season goes along, he'll improve in his scrambling ability to run.
Can this guy improve at all?
Well, he missed one. Oh. But nevertheless, here we have to settle for another field goal, and frankly, I don't like that. I like to get down to 4-down territory and take command and go in and score the 7 points. But we haven't done a good job of that in the first 2 ball games, Larry.
More fumbling than you usually see from a Michigan team.
Well, yes, and I don't like that at all. We've mishandled the ball 6 or 8 occasions in the first 2 games, and you just can't do that and win, and we've got to do a better job of that. Plus, we've had 4 interceptions, too, in the last 2 games.
Sometimes they say that's concentration on the part of a ball carrier when he fumbles, but it appears in some instances that your ball carriers are just fighting for some extra yards, trying to do some things, and maybe that's when they lose the ball.
Well, our runners are aggressive, Larry, and they do try to go for the extra yard. And I think the thing that we're forgetting is that when you do that, you must have leverage on both ends of the football. And that means that ball has to be up in your armpit snug and your other hand holding the other end of it. And we'd always like to bring the other arm over so that we make sure we don't fumble. But sometimes we're twisting and turning and trying to run, and the ball gets out here, and as soon as it does, boom, you get it knocked out of your arm.
Is there a thought process involved there where the runner begins to look for the 60, 70-yard run instead of settling for the 4 or 5 yards he's
Well, we may be doing a little too much of that because we've broken some long gainers in the first 2 games. Maybe we're looking a little too much for the long gainer and not leveling off with leverage on the ball, getting that first 5 yards before we start to break for the big one.
Back to the game action. You looked pretty good from time to time. When Leach did hit, he hit Smith most of the time with good gainers.
Well, here we are on cross-country pattern here to Smith, and it's also a big gainer that gets us down in close, and we're down in Stanford territory again, but once again we're forced to settle for the field goal. That, to me, is the thing that has held us back all year.
You missed this guy for a while, Lytle, who was out with an injury briefly in the game.
Yeah, here he is on a wide dive play, and he gets out. He's got great speed, and once he's in the secondary, he ran for over 100 yards and was our hustle player of the game for the second straight week. I think he's a tremendous player. Here's an unusual play, Larry. They held up on this and tried to return, and we held the ball and then punted it. And because none of their players attempted to make the catch, Mike Holmes grabbed it on the 2-yard line.
But look at that.
Now this is strictly poor tackling. This is not a typical Michigan secondary in terms of being able to tackle ball carriers once they receive the pass. We've got to work on that phase of it too. Here's another one over the middle to Ron Inge. They're back coming out of the backfield, a play that hurt us quite a lot all afternoon too.
Here's the deflection.
Here's the deflection, and their center went down. The ball was tipped way up in the air by Dave Devitt, our linebacker, and their center came down, caught the ball for a touchdown. Now this is Leach on a throwing to Smith on what we call a Z route as he broke out for a good gain. Once again, we're lined up for the field goal.
That gives you the 19-16 lead.
Well, we're on top now, and by 3 points, and here's Stanford rolling out here, and this is the play where we sack him for a long loss. Maybe if we hadn't done that on 4th down and 2, they might have gone for the touchdown, and we'd either held him or lost the game. But they've got a great field goal kicker in Langley, and he knocked it through to tie the game.
I guess the most pleasant thing about the game is you don't have to face that quarterback again this year.
Well, not this year, but we will next year, and that game will be back in Michigan Stadium, and we'll have approximately the same cast again because they're a predominantly junior team.
Will you work any changes on pass defense? Do you think teams that see this game will think?
Well, you always do that, even if you had been successful, because you know they're going to try to attack what you did previous year. So we'd probably be doing something different even if we had been more successful against his passes.